This Tampa Bay Bucks team preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with SGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks and projections are now live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, this is LeGarrette Blunt, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money Graham with my partner in picks, Ryan. Real money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. Shout out to Hokie legend Bruce Arians.
Oh, what's he up to?
Still the godfather of the Buccaneers. I mean,
is he? Is he still with the team?
I'm sure he's a consultant. We heard how excited he was that they were going to re-sign Baker and Mike Evans in the offseason. Why he would be available for quote, I don't know. Probably just likes to hang with the reporters, maybe play a round of golf. He might even. I bet you Bruce Arians pays for the round of golf with reporters just to get quoted. Anyway, what's he up to? You looking it up?
Senior advisor to the general manager. So
it sounds like he's basically running things.
It's like he's like the big dom of GM.
Who hired him? Oh, the owner. Interesting. So he's keeping an eye on things for him.
Yeah, he kind of like stepped away, but they clearly still like having him around. Apparently, he likes to put him back. So probably a true
#. Do you remember in the pandemic when he had to do a Zoom interview for the first time and he was like sitting on his back patio? The sun was just like, it was impossible to see him because there's just so much Florida sun coming through. Yeah, Bruce Arians is a legend. Hokie legend.
Dog. Yeah, and I feel like Bruce Arians over the years won me a decent amount of cash. So shout out to you, Bruce.
Oh, that Ben Roethlisberger offense. Come on.
Yeah. No, and he's well, and also what was it? The team he took over.
Pretty sure Bruce Arians was the first to tussle with Tomlin, where Tomlin's like, "Run the damn ball."
Yeah.
More.
Who's the Colts head coach who unfortunately had cancer and then didn't Arians step in that year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Blanking on his name. He had a brother, Pagano.
Yeah.
Chuck Pagano.
So he's had a couple of nice runs over the years. Shout out to you, Bruce Arians. Ryan, of course. It is the summer of the DGen football song. That thing gets stuck in my head. Shout out to Carl Restivo for blessing us with that. But I saw in the chat, a couple of people were reminding me a few days back of the original song of the summer, the song that has gotten us out of a couple funks and just been an amazing song. We haven't played it in a long time, but feels like a good time. Why not? People were talking about it. It is the point spread song. Ryan, let's grip it and rip it. Not quite as good as Carl's song, but it has a certain charm to it.
Oh Lord, please help me cover the spread. I bet my last time and I'm waiting with dread. Oh Lord, please help me cover the spread. I bet the money line on my parlay card. The odds are fine. They made a first down. My team is trying to go downtown. Oh Lord, please help me cover the spread. My bookie has chased me around the
Great line.
I mean, just imagine a chick that's getting shook down by a local bookie. Kind of an unlikely scenario.
The dice are all rain. I got poker in my head.
This is the opposite.
Please help me
cover the spread. All right, you get it.
I did drop the link in the YouTube.
Okay.
It will be in the description as well. So
yeah, shout out to the original point spread song. Kramer, the phrase that pays, one word per episode, 32 words, 32 team previews. This episode's word for the Tampa Bay Bucks, of is the word. Why is that so funny? Right?
I just love the inconsequential words are funny when that's the word of the episode.
Well, I mean, you can't. You got a 32 word phrase. They all can't be super interesting words.
Yeah. No, I know. I understand. Sentences. Everyone's got role players, Sean. You got to come off the bench. You got to put in a couple minutes of the well
was last episode's thing. Maybe I'm tipping the hat, or tipping our hand. A little free one for the listeners out there. Talking Tampa Bay Bucks. Kramer coming off a 9-8 season. They did win the division. Some of us predicted that. Shout out to me. Plus 900. They were an amazing 11-6 ATS. Started out great ATS. I mean, they were good.
Oh,
all
that
season.
Vikings game to start the season.
Yeah,
let's not forget that was a key element of the Survivor catastrophe that was last year.
Yeah, I wish I would have put them in the money line round robin instead of the stupid Steelers. 9-8, 11-6 ATS. Their win total was 6.5. We both were on the over. I was as high as 11-6. You were 10-7, but we were high on this team. We thought they had a chance to win the NFC South. Why not? The Tampa Bay Bucks.
Why
came
not?
Through.
I love a good pirate ship
and a nice win for them. I mean, you look at the Bucks, kind of an interesting. So you're distracting with all your paper shuffling over there.
I thought I had the right team on top. I didn't.
It's a professor over there.
I got a whole thing set up.
The Bucks are interesting. Obviously, Baker played really well. Can he sustain that? He got Dave Canales a new job there in Carolina. Now, there's two ways to look at it. One, Canales probably got the most out of Baker, which is good. But then also Canales really was one of these classic run pass guys and ran Rachaad White into super inefficient boxes, super inefficient situations. So
he was a throwback.
If they can kind of have a more modern offense and Jalen McMillian, who is really impressing in camp, the rookie receiver, Chris Godwin going back to the slot, Mike Evans, if you can keep relying on him, Cade Otton flashed towards the playoffs there. If he can continue to grow, I really like their pass catchers there. And again, Rachaad White, I think in better situations, not explosive, but I think a guy that you can kind of rely on. Interesting offense, right? Maybe some questions a little bit on the interior offensive line. That's something to keep an eye on to see. I know one of the guards they have trotting out there is pretty inexperienced. Luck wise, they did catch some breaks. Bucks opposing kickers made just 2 out of 8 field goals, 50-yard plus, the worst mark of any team. With 6+ field goals against them, 50 yards plus. The Bucks forced the most fumbles in the NFL and recovered the second most with 13. That led to their
good old fashioned fumble luck.
Turnover differential of +8. So will they be able to sustain that? Probably not. But there are a number of teams who had a higher turnover differential. So I think that's going to probably come down to like a +4 maybe. Also, they did lose Shaq Barrett. Carlton Davis. They did lose Devin White, who I mean really didn't have a good second half of the year for them, but they lost some defensive production. But what's your big picture take on this Bucks team, Ryan?
Yeah, well, you were getting to it, but essentially, you look at the Pythag wins right at where they ended up 9. But the estimated wins down at 7.5. You kind of alluded to some of the reasons why, probably. And they had some fortunate luck outcomes, which led to some fortunate point differential stuff. Also, pretty healthy. Worth noting, they didn't suffer a ton of injuries, which is always important when you have. We just talked about the Rams, and in a way, I would be talking out of both sides of my mouth if I said the same thing. I just think this Bucks team has a little bit more depth. A little bit more skill position depth, a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball, trust in terms of what the defensive scheme is going to be year to year. And what is this team always? I feel like we always talk about this team and the Saints as like it seems like they're trying to compete every year.
Yeah.
Like there's no idea of a rebuild. I mean, last year the knock against them was like there was a ton of dead cap money, but it didn't matter. And yeah, maybe Baker being relatively cheap helped that, and now he's not as cheap. And
yeah, I guess.
But you know what? My takeaway was actually looking back and I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did I forget, or like Baker those first 3 years in Cleveland? He had some interception problems, but he was slinging the rock, a little bit of that gunslinger. He dragged the Browns to the playoffs.
Yeah, and that
always
he was
taking a lot of sacks,
playing through a ton of pain.
And then he had these 2 seasons, 2021, 2022, a bit of a, lost his way, forgot his home security code was 1, 2, 3, 4. Ended up like playing some garbage time for the Rams even.
Yeah.
And so to see him come back to a healthy situation and then put up numbers, are we sure it was Canales, or it was just he was playing for a team that was not the Cleveland Browns in a more dysfunctional situation with bad coaching and bad leadership and not the great offensive system?
Yeah, I mean, I think
he was the number 1 overall pick. He was the offensive rookie of the year.
No, so
and comeback player of the year.
You look at 2020, he was 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And then you look at even 2021. Now, granted, they were 6 and 8, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That I'm pretty sure is a year where he was banged up. So yeah, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Maybe those numbers aren't quite sustainable, but I kind of
second in rookie of the year.
I kind of think Baker is a guy who, I think Baker's an interesting path, right, in the quarterback position. I think in college he got by with a lot of like moxie, just kind of his talent, improvising, creating plays.
Didn't have a lot of stars.
No, didn't have a lot of stars. And then, came into the NFL, hit a little bit of a wall, but even his rookie year, I thought he had some moments. And then it's injuries, a bad team. I mean, coached by Hugh Jackson, like there were some bad situations. He kind of hung around. I think Baker got humbled. I think he was pretty cocky and arrogant. I mean, not shocking if you're that high, if you're number 1 pick overall in the NFL, but I think his play style was also cocky and arrogant. And now he's kind of a veteran player, a little wiser, a little smarter, realizes, hey, I can't make that throw, or hey, this is a better throw, or maybe don't throw this. See another day. Hey, Mike Evans is awesome. Throw him the ball all the time. And even Mike Evans, for as good of a season as he had, I thought he had like a couple like bad drops that could have, like, Baker's numbers could have been a little bit better, I think, in some ways. And if you just don't run the ball in first and second down every single time, and then throw on third down, like I was reading some of the advanced analytics stuff, and it was like, oh, their late down stuff isn't sustainable. But I would say they put themselves, because of the bad play calling and Canales' setup, in those situations. I think if they start throwing on first down, which most NFL teams would agree is the opportune time to throw the ball, and put Rashad White in favorable situations, throw the ball to Mike Evans on first down, get Cade Otton involved, get Chris Godwin out of the slot, take some deep shots with Jalen McMillian, play action. I think there is a world where this offense really hits a stride, and that they don't need to be as efficient as they were last year on the late down stuff. So I mean, you could say like, hey, their third down numbers aren't sustainable, but I don't think they're going to have to be if they are more efficient. Now we'll see with the new OC and the play calling. That is a bit of a.
Well, let's talk about Liam Cohen.
Okay, let's
the
break
new
him
OC.
down.
I sent Josh a picture of him. Thought we would start here. I have some concerns.
Whoa. This looks like an AI. Like if you said generate a photo of an AI, generate me a photo of a pledge for a fraternity. This guy looks like he's ready to get paddled.
You gotta say please.
Please AI,
yeah.
Generate a photo. Very interesting lighting. Seems like a nice guy. I don't know. He's just kind of got a goofy expression in this photo. But yeah, what's the breakdown on Liam Cohen? So let me guess, he knows Sean McVay.
He coached for him.
Oh, okay.
He was his offensive coordinator in 2022.
Yeah.
And I've seen some publications that have alluded to the fact that he was let go. Turns out McVay is one of these younger, promotes you to go look for other jobs. Always good for his brand, for his coaches to be going out. He's smart there, ahead of the curve. Seems like he left to go coach for UK because that's what he wanted to do. From all accounts, I see nothing that would suggest he was told to like find a job. So he went to college for a year, coached the Kentucky offense, which I don't know if that makes me happy or sad. But I think in general, there's also got to be an element here of like, are we at all overlaying the fact that Liam Cohen was on the Rams staff with Baker in 2022?
Yeah.
And
I mean, that was a very small sample size, but Baker came in with the chip on his shoulder, basically got himself an opportunity to compete for a job.
He didn't get fired from Kentucky. He came to Tampa Bay to take this job with Baker.
Yeah.
So the folks that are suggesting this is a downgrade at coordinator, it's a fine assumption to make, but who, by the way, he also played for the Alabama Vipers.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that I'm going to assume that's a arena league. Maybe it doesn't even have. They didn't have the time to fill that part of the Wikipedia page.
Well,
but yeah, he left on his own accord. He saw this as a desirable job, and I think a lot of people think Matt Canales' style of offense is. I got to be honest. For the nerds to be flocking around Carolina, the more that I think about what Matt Canales is, it's like.
Well, it's interesting because Eric Eager, friend of the program, or at least he did the show once. He follows. I think he follows me.
Yeah.
Regardless, he got a stats job over in Carolina, like doing analytics, which is ironic because one of like the first tenets of analytics is don't run the ball in first down, and that's what Dave Canales loves. So, what is that going to be like?
It does seem there's a little bit of a clash. I mean,
if you're Eric Eager, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but like football nerds, their big takeaway, they would say, if I can tell you one thing, pass the ball in first down, and that's Dave Canales's.
Well, I think EPA teaches you that passes are more valuable than runs, basically.
Yes,
I mean, you can even get rid of down and distance, like. And especially the logic as to why you want to pass on first down is in theory, your defense, your opposition knows the least about what you're going to do versus waiting until they know you're going to pass on third down, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like you want to talk, let's pull up the roster. I do think I think there's a number of like nothing for the most part. They're kind of running it back. You called out some of the pieces they're losing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of these pieces are like tough losses.
Well, Ryan Jensen, but I don't think he played at all last year, right?
He was already kind of.
Did he actually see the field? I know he's officially retired this year, but didn't he? I
mean, the guy the Giants signed is like competing for a spot on the Giants offensive line. So
yeah, Carlton Davis. All right. Maybe. But yeah, I like drafting Graham Barton. Now the problem is
Ryan Jensen hasn't played a game since 2021. So
yeah. So like he was going to play and then coming into the season, I think he blew out something. So he's officially
he's missed a couple seasons.
The draft, Graham Barton, kid out of Duke.
Everyone liked him.
I like him, but again, starting a rookie on the interior can be dangerous. But again, you got to turn over the offensive line at some point. Bucky Irving, deep fantasy play, running back. There's some interest there, but Jalen McMillian, again, unprompted praise from veteran guys is always a good sign.
Like the quarterback,
yeah,
like the leader of the defense. I mean,
going out of their way to like praise Jalen McMillian. I got to get some more best ball shares of him, Ryan, because I realize I have some, but I probably don't have enough. Randy Gregory, kind of crazy. We'll see if he actually ends up doing much. Sua Peta, offensive guard they brought in. He unfortunately already done for the season. I think he blew out his ACL.
To me, yeah, I would say that the highlight of the offseason is just how much this team is happy with what they had, and they're mostly running it back.
Yeah, which again, I guess could be if you're a hater of the Bucs, or if you're down on the Bucs, you could use that as an excuse of like, hey, they exceeded expectations last year. They certainly had some metrics where it looked like they were lucky. The turnover differential, some of that stuff's not going to break right. Baker can't have 2 seasons in a row like that, and they're running back this team that shouldn't have been that good last year. That would be the case against them. The case for them is Baker clearly kind of is their guy, and I think he's able to build on what he did last year. And to your point, that 2022, I missed that, the little bit of chemistry, the overlap. Baker only started 4 games for the Rams, so I think that getting to Los Angeles gave him a second lease on life in the NFL, and I think they do have some chemistry.
Yeah, and he talked about the scheme and how things were a little different, and so I think when you have that kind of, again, the coordinator came back. Granted, he came back to the NFL. It's not the hardest thing to do, but for him to want to do that, for Baker has said nice things. He does look like an AI frat boy. But I would even flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. I have not heard a lot spoken about. Like, to me, Todd Bowles has an interesting unit for him. He's got some pieces on the back end he really likes.
Yeah.
And you look at the middle of this defense, Vita Vea, he anchoring it. Kalijah Kancey looks like he could be something. Well, I mean, he was one of those like
a funny thing,
undersized Aaron Donald, but like those two guys up front are going to allow Todd Bowles to do some fun stuff with his linebackers. They're going to generate pressure.
And coming back to the offensive line, Tristan Wirfs, left tackle, he's been awesome. They just paid him. So I do think they have, the tackle positions.
Paid Mike Evans.
Yeah, paid Mike Evans. Antoine Winfield Jr., he's a fun guy with some playmaker upside. And again, I'm confident Todd Bowles can get enough out of this defense. So Levante David should be set up for a pretty good season there.
Todd Bowles, fellow Jersey legend.
Really? Is he going to be in the Jersey Hall of Fame?
He's from Elizabeth, New Jersey, which shout
you
out
and
to
Joe Theismann?
Union County. Yeah, like, why does Todd Bowles not get any respect?
It's a great question, Ryan. Great question.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I mean, because he won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady.
I mean, he was handpicked by Bruce Arians.
Or so wait, he was the DC when they won, and then kind of I think. I don't know. Those years of being a Jets head coach weren't amazing, but I think
the Jets organization will do that to you.
I think that's more on the Jets. I think he's been a pretty good head coach so far. They haven't. I mean, I'm trying to think. Have they really bottomed out under Todd Bowles? I don't think so.
2 years. I mean, well, they've only had, this is only year 3, but what I would point out is he's been dealing with ridiculous cap situations thanks to Tom Brady. And
I mean 8-9 as a head coach 2022, and then last year 9-8. So 8-9 was like the end of the Brady era. Everyone thought they were going to blow it up. No, he took the team to the playoffs, and they got a playoff win with Baker Mayfield because they needed a cheap quarterback. Now they realize Baker's their guy, and I think they were going to be in a good spot. So
they still rank in the top 5 of the league in dead money, but it is down from where they were last year. So they have more of effective cap to spend, which is good. But yeah, I mean, I think the reality here is that they might have maximized last year. That's a fair point to make, but continuity maybe is enough to help settle the regression. And
Baker seems to have some good mojo going on with the team overall.
Also, just like at some point you got to make a bet on a team in a division. There's only 4 teams in a division, and this division is just fucked up. It's just messed up. The second everyone lost their mind and decided that the Falcons were a conference and Super Bowl contender because Kirk Cousins showed up, it threw all the odds out of whack.
It really did.
You're getting a team that's running it back who won the division last year at a what division? I mean, I don't know. So yeah, it just seems like the odds are out of whack. We're probably a little high on this team because we like feeling dangerous.
I woke up feeling dangerous,
but I did really. I found when I got to the place where I realized that Baker had played, they had been on a team together. I was like, oh,
it's a good spot to be.
This is exactly what I needed to read.
Ryan, Underdog Fantasy. Are we going to be getting down on some Tampa Bay Bucks season long plays? Of course we are. We'll give those out towards the end of the episode. And again, Underdog is great. I mean, let's say you're just bored looking for a little action. Hey, some MLB going on. Fired up. They have live pick'em going on for MLB games. Of course, Premier Lacrosse League. If you're looking to get down on that, NFL preseason, or do they have pick'em for it? You bet they do.
Yes, sir.
Literally any sort of pick'em you want for fantasy projections, almost all of them. Underdog has you covered, including the Olympics as well. Love playing the fantasy pick'em. My dream one day is to go 8-0 and cash that 325 my dollars. We'll see if I can do it. Knock on wood. But again, so fun. Best ball mania. Best way you can spend $25 for a chance to win your share of 15 million. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN, and of course, Circa Sports, Circa Million, 16 million in guaranteed prizes. You talk a bunch of shit. You think you can pick some games? Pick some games. Pick some winners. Put your money where your mouth is, and you could get a giant check from Derek Stevens, because that's all he does. This is no rake. They do not make any money from this contest. In fact, they lose money because they're, you got the overhead, the giant checks cost a bunch. Don't get Derek started on how much those giant checks cost. $10 million to the winner of Circus Survivor. You don't want to win your Office Survivor and not also win Circus Survivor. Circa Millions, 5 teams against the spread. It's a great way to, honestly, if you're like, oh, hey, the entry fee is a little much, it's awesome for like you and your buddies to come together, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, whatever it is, your group text where you talk gambling, turn that into an entry. Go out, hang out for contest weekend, August 22nd through the 24th. We got a 15% discount for the hotel, SGP 15, and then go sign up over at the Proxy. You can enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. And of course, proxy.footballcontest.com, promo code SGP. Vegas Maddie, get you hooked up and you get $50 off. Circusports.com.
Sorry, not breaking news, but breaking news. It does seem like this Brandon Ayuk thing is coming to a head.
Ryan, we also have breaking news.
Oh,
Friend of the program who I host a football podcast with. You also know him as a comedian.
no idea.
Doug Stanhope.
Oh.
All right. So he was trying to call me live. I didn't, all right, Ryan, can you play this so that people could hear it?
Give it to me.
Okay. I think he was trying to call in on air, but all right. I think I got it now, but here, Ryan. All right.
Yeah. Just it's a voicemail or something.
Yeah. Can you plug it in? Doug called in, left a voicemail on air, so we'll get to that in just a second. Great to hear from Doug. Of course, get to the points podcast. That was me, him, other comedian Brendan Walsh. A little fun take on some NFL picks. ATS. Doug, a bunch of characters that Doug's friends with as well. Oh man, Michael Bean was a recurring guest on the show.
Ready?
You remember him as an actor? Yes. Let's hear Doug Stanhope trying to get a hold of me live on the show.
There's no chat feature, it seems, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles, bring back those creamsicle uniforms. Oh my God, why can't I talk to you? This is not inclusive whatsoever.
Ryan, is there some reason is the chat off?
What do you mean? I see people in the chat right now. The chat is lit. I see Steffi Smalls in there. I see Easy. Easy's probably a little worried after the Giants dominated practice 1.
But people agree in the chat that the creamsicle uniforms are the way to go. They are. They're all time. I don't mean to sound like Colby, who loves the old timey uniforms, but Ryan, the creamsicles are pretty awesome.
I don't have a problem with almost any generation of the Bucs uniform. I don't feel like any of them are. It's not like the Seahawks where they have a clear bad era.
Yeah.
I think for a team that's relatively new and has dabbled in some interesting color combinations, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I would say even the new ones are fine.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
My wife's a Bucks fan. You gotta get into the spirit. Pirates and shit,
But yeah, creamsicles would be number one. But even like the interesting ones that they had when they won the Super Bowl with Warren Sapp, they were like a slight variation. I thought those worked.
The Seahawks. It seems like the Seahawks are leaning into their older uniforms now. So maybe these teams have to realize that people like old stuff. I literally dropped my kids off so they could shop for old stuff. Stuff that looks like it's old. They don't want new stuff. They want old stuff. Bring back the old uniforms. What team has a bad throwback uniform that we wouldn't want to see?
Yeah.
If the whole league said we're just going to do throwback weekend,
They should do whenever they have an anniversary coming up, just do throwback year. People would lose their shit.
yeah. Well, unless you go too far back, people don't like the 100-year uniforms.
There were some bad ones. The Eagles, Donovan McNabb, the yellow Eagles
Sean,
jersey was horrific.
Find me a uniform
was
that was
horrific.
good back then.
Yeah, no,
They're
I mean,
all bad.
They were just like basic stripes
They
and
didn't know how to
primary
sew.
colors.
They barely sewed. It was just like big stripes too.
70s, 80s were a great time.
Oh, I'm talking about like the 1920s, back when these original football like sweaters existed from. All right, Tampa Bay Bucks. You want to talk odds?
Let's do it. What do we got here?
I mean, again, I was going to get to it earlier, but for a team that won the division last year and they're running it back, and to me, there hasn't a lot has not changed other than Atlanta upgrading their quarterback position. Not much else has changed.
Plus 152 to make the playoffs
in the whole. Well, I think this is showing you they're a one playoff team division.
Okay,
So why not just take the division?
that's true.
To me, this is the. All right, so we talked about how I've made a bunch of bets at the circle already. Well, newsflash, Bucks division. Let's go. What is the handicap here?
Yeah.
Where are the simulations where? Okay, so what is this implying, Sean? This is implying they're going to win less than 1 out of every 4.
Well, and it's a
Less
new
than
head
1
coach.
out of every
It's
4.
Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury. It's this offense where a lot of things have to get right. Atlanta still hasn't figured out how to rush the passer. And you look at that team and everyone just thinks like, oh man, all they needed was someone better than Desmond Ridder. No, they need a lot. They need chemistry. They need cohesion. Like this Bucks team has a chance to build on what they did last year. I think it should be way closer to the Falcons' odds to win the division. What am I missing? Kirk Cousins is not that good. It was not like he was balling out before he blew out his Achilles.
Why are the Saints, in my opinion, why are the Saints and the Bucks and the Falcons all not in a similar price range?
Yeah.
Right. Cause all right, the Falcons upgraded a little bit.
I don't like the Saints, but you could almost talk me into them more than you could the Atlanta Falcons because at least they have some consistency.
It's similar, right? They're bringing in a new offense that should help them move the ball, but the difference is the Saints are a little bit more established. To me, the leap of faith everyone's taking with the Falcons is mispricing everything else, and so absolutely, I'm going to take a piece of plus 310. They might be dead man walking in the playoffs again. Like whoever comes out of this division probably will be, but plus 310. I mean, Sean, this is a 7.5 point dog on a Sunday. They're not a 7.5 point dog on the Sunday to win their division.
And I know everyone goes, oh, well, they blew by their win total last year. They couldn't do it again, but they didn't. The market hasn't adjusted. They were 6.5 last year. They're only 7.5 this year.
First team we're a little out of order on, but yeah, 7.5. Juice to the over minus 150.
Okay.
So that's still a win total adjusted under 8. And let's talk through the schedule because they are favored 8 times. Sean,
Ryan, breaking news. Doug Stanhope has figured out the chat.
Oh, nice. Okay.
He was on the Twitter version. Couldn't get the chat going there. He's now on the YouTube and point out Patriots are second best throwbacks. What's the name? The guy has a name that snaps the football.
The center.
Yeah. On the Patriots old school logo.
Oh, they have a name.
Yeah.
For that guy.
We got to look that up.
No idea.
Pat Patriot. Not the most.
That's a great. I mean, you want to talk about
not the most creative name, but a guy's hiking a ball in a 3-corner hat is pretty awesome.
You want to talk about a guy getting bailed out by Tom Brady? Or the franchise getting bailed out. Oh my God. Pat Patriot. That's hard. Also, human mascots are weird. Like, not a hot take, but if your mascot is a human, that's strange to me.
Yes.
That's just an odd thing.
And we did a bit on the show we did with Gronk. Gronk goes deep.
No.
It was basically just ripping off Jack Handy's Deep Thoughts, but with Gronk. And the one we got that I really liked was, hey, have you ever seen the Dolphins logo? Well, the dolphin on the helmet is wearing a logo of the Dolphins, which is a logo of a dolphin wearing a helmet. And then that logo, like, where does the madness end?
It's the Russian doll.
Just having Gronk yell, "Where does the madness end?" on a kids show, the Nickelodeon people were not excited about. They're like, "This is not the show kids want to watch." So
Kids like Gronk though.
it made it to 2 seasons. All right, Ryan, what do we got here?
Yeah. So like I was saying, 8 times they're favored, 9 times they're home. We do get a little Bucks in prime time, so I think the world is ready to feel dangerous with Baker. Schedule starts out okay. They get Todd Bowles gonna generate pressure. They get a rookie quarterback, and the Commanders down in Florida. We love the early season Florida spots. Then on the road in Detroit. Always going to be a tough spot, but maybe this is like Minnesota.
Revenge game.
Well, there's also revenge, but maybe this is like that Minnesota game last year. Also, coming off the Goff Bowl for the Lions, maybe there's an early season letdown opportunity. Then it's Broncos at home, Eagles at home. Love that the Bucks get 3 out of the first 4 at home.
Yeah,
we love these Florida teams early, especially coming from the dry elevation of Denver all the way down to Florida. That is a horrible circle. This right now, we're not scared to lay a 3.5 there. I think there's 2 rookie quarterbacks to me. That's an automatic win. Now you add in a third team that might be working in a new center, trying to figure out that offensive line combination against Todd Bowles.
See what you're doing there, right? Well, I mean, you want to talk about revenge. This Eagles team has this game circled. It was one of Jalen Hurts' worst games. They're going to bounce back. I feel good about the Eagles, and the Eagles fans show up down in Florida. So I like that spot for the Eagles, and I don't know if I can quite give them the at lines, but definitely 2-2. I think they're going to be, I mean, as much as I'm higher on market than the Broncos, 2-2, I think at the very least. And you're right. Maybe 3-1 in the cards, certainly not against the Eagles, but I'll say 2-2. What are you doing, Ryan?
I just has Jalen Hurts had a good game against, the Todd Bowles defense?
Yes. In the regular season, when they played Monday night game, he played very well.
What year was this? Last year?
Yeah.
277, a touchdown, 2 picks.
Well, I mean,
okay.
If you look at the stats, one was like a Hail Mary before the end of the game. But I mean, I thought he played a pretty good game. And one was like a miscommunication. But I mean, some of that was them running the ball against Todd Bowles' defense. So I guess not one of his best games, but I mean, certainly he looked like shit in the playoffs.
3-1.
3-1. So you have him losing to the Lions, and the Eagles, or maybe you have the Eagles. So you haven't beaten the Lions, Ryan.
We do our predictions in quadrants.
Okay.
Well, I think this is a 3-1 quadrant.
All right, I get it. What's the next quadrant?
All right. So again, I think you have to. So my rules for the NFC South, as much as I think I said I'm going to split them, I think the Panthers have to get swept by all these teams. They're just looking like this is going to be a rough season. At Falcons on Thursday Night Football, so we have a short. I don't think they call it hate week. That's between the Falcons and the Saints. But I will say the NFC South rivalries are undervalued by the rest of the country. The teams themselves seem to care very much. At Saints, followed by Ravens on Monday night, and then Falcons again. I don't know. I don't mind playing the Falcons early. I will say.
Well, I mean, we had those stats about rookie head coaches on Thursday Night Football. You'd want to fade them. Now, Raheem Morris, not technically a rookie head coach, but hasn't coached in a while. Sure, Thursday night on the road's always tough.
If you ask the Bucks, I'm sure they would like to play the Falcons twice early. Yeah, there's always a chance that this team figures it out later in the season. So I'll split those games. I'll give them a loss for the Saints road game, and then, man, that Ravens game is tricky because it is a Florida game. It is, but there's no real scheduling.
Lamar does well in Florida, I think.
It's the first of they do have Cleveland on deck, but that doesn't necessarily scare me.
I think they could beat the Saints. I'm going to go 2-2.
Ooh.
They can either beat the Saints or they can sweep the Falcons.
I'll go. Yeah,
prediction.
So you're saying 2-2?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go 2-2.
2-2 is optimistic because that is a tough stretch.
Then we have at Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
Wow.
Niners. So again, the week 7 through 10 really tough. Then the bye week.
Okay.
Then
perfect time for a bye too.
They have 4 road games in their first 5 out of the bye. So there are some definite elements of the schedule that make it harder than
this schedule is bonkers.
So yeah, so you have at Chiefs, Niners at home, bye week, at Giants, at Panthers.
It is weird to think they're going to destroy on their road games and get crushed in their. Well, no, because they're at Chiefs. I'll go 2-2.
Chiefs don't win all their regular season games. We do need to remind ourselves of this. This is so the Chiefs will be coming home after back-to-back road games at Niners, at Raiders. That's got to be a win for the Chiefs, right? And then the Niners, any chance the Niners go down to the Bucks? Niners off their bye week. That's going to be tough too. All right, so then
I don't see
1-3.
I got them 2-2. I think they can beat the Giants and the Panthers.
The Panthers is the only win they get here.
You got them 1-3.
I got them 1-3.
So we're both 6-6. All right.
Final 5. Again, this is a stretch where they're playing 4 road games in 5 weeks. The sandwich spot for them is the Raiders at home here. And the Raiders are coming off the Christmas Day game against the Chiefs.
This is when you want to play the Raiders too, in Tampa after a holiday.
Black Friday. The Chiefs will be coming off the Raiders are coming off the Black Friday game against the Chiefs.
Black Hole is gonna love Black Friday.
And then
you can see the NFL doing some like promo deals where they're holding up like a 48-inch TV in that black hole.
At Chargers, hard to see the Tampa fans coming out to warm weather. They already have it. At Cowboys on Sunday night, Panthers at home, Saints at home. So the home games are wins for me.
Okay. Wow. Even against your Raiders. And shout out to Eric of Men's Warehouse in Glendale. Ryan and I got fitted for tux for Bet Bash. And the manager there started talking shop. Guy had a lot of gambling questions, a lot of gambling takes. He's a Raiders fan. Very optimistic about their defense. He's also concerned about the quarterback position. Ryan was trying to sell him on Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew.
I was like, either one, I like it.
Yeah. Eric was a little skeptical about that. He goes, once we figure out the quarterback, we're good. I think they could steal one of the road games. And
what do you mean? I think they definitely steal one of them. I think 5-0 is in order. Is potential here. If not, 4-1 feels conservative. What's 4-1 get me to 10-6?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 10-7. I'm gonna go 4-1.
My old brain just wants to make it 16 games.
What are you doing, Ryan?
4-1.
4-1.
I think they're finishing hot. I think we're talking about them hosting a playoff game and potentially getting their ass kicked again.
No, they beat the Eagles the first time, and then
after they hosting a game and winning, and then getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, and I mean, it felt like Lions were in control of that game, but they certainly didn't get their ass kicked. I don't think that was an embarrassing performance.
No, you're right, but they were never going to win the game.
No, it didn't. Well, yeah, I mean, it felt like there
was a gap.
Yeah, and especially at home, I was worried it might be a letdown spot for the Lions, but they got up for that. That stadium is really Ford Field. That was a cool part. I mean, once the Eagles got eliminated, Detroit was such an easy team to root for.
We were hanging out with Derek every week. I mean, of course we were rooting for.
Yeah, shout out to Easy, and just Detroit fan base has been so loyal to that team, and for them to get a shot. Oh man, would have loved to see them instead of the stupid 49ers in the Super Bowl. But Ryan,
then Kyle Juszczyk couldn't have.
Kyle Juszczyk wouldn't have won you all that money catching the first pass. All right, hey, we'll get our best bets in just a second. Before we do, shout out to Rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, the place for AI picks, props, projections. They got the NFL system going. They got the college football system going. They got you covered. and of course love rhythm. Very easy. You can kind of tinker around, come up with your own model, and saying like, hey, I like these type of bets. I don't like, this stat I think is good. This stat isn't. Ryan, this one's pretty interesting. Rhythm likes a Clemson money line against Georgia on August 31st. Right now, the money line's plus 445. They think they have a 24.7% chance of pulling out that upset. Again, super fun where you can choose the stats that matter to you and build a model. Very fun. And you get a 7-day free trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And of course, Game Time. Game Time is your destination. You want to get some last minute tickets. I'm considering going to Phillies Dodgers tomorrow, Ryan. I'm just checking out the prices over on Game Time. Very affordable, very easy to get in, see some great action. If you're going to preseason football, there are tickets available. Fun way to kill an afternoon. And again, I mean, you can bet on these games. So super fun. GameTime.co. Promo code SGPN. See the Chargers. The get in price for the Chargers is $8. I repeat, $8 to get in to see professional football. GameTime.co. Promo code SGPN.
Excellent.
So Ryan,
so division is a smash. Like
Yes.
launch smash. I think what I'm gonna do is when we're out in Vegas for Bet Bash, I'm gonna level off my Tampa division winning ticket so it's equivalent to the Lions.
okay.
Just,
People were wondering.
This is one of my favorite bets of the NFL season.
All right, let's go.
Don't you think it's like
Yeah, I mean,
every other division winner that I like?
I still don't. To me, the market said, "Oh, hey, Kirk Cousins came here. Now the Falcons are a clear favorite." I don't agree with that at all. I still think this division is a toss-up, with the Panthers being shitty and not in the mix.
It's even moved. The Falcons are even more chalk, -120. Bucks are pushed out to +320. Saints 340. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean,
What's happening that people are betting the
and
Falcons right now?
I'm not going to be super high on the Saints. Maybe they get you to 8 wins, but yeah, I love the Bucks here. Great spot for the Bucks.
I'll be honest. How is this not one of these? I
feel like the Bucks I feel how I felt about the Bucks last year, and the only thing that's changed is the win total's gone up 1, and the market saw like, hey, this is what this team can do, and it's still they're not adjusting to it. It's very interesting.
fading the Falcons by, even if you don't love the Bucks or the Saints, you can bet both of those at over 3, like 3.2 and 3.4 to 1. How are the Falcons minus odds to win a division? Guys, this is crazy. All right, so Bucks win the division.
Yep.
Any interest in futures beyond that?
No, because I don't think they're winning the conference, right? So, and I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl.
Feels like the ceiling is divisional round.
Ryan, let's just start with our buddy Mike Evans. Mike Evans,
Oh dear.
most receiving touchdowns. What do you think that's in the league? That should be what, even money?
Yeah, I mean, based on the fact that he scores a touchdown almost every week.
Yes. Remember Dick Puncher, aka the Packers super fan? Every time he come on the pregame show. Yeah. What are you going to give out? Mike Evans, anytime touchdown. He had 13 receiving touchdowns and he's 16-1 to lead the league. I'm in on that.
I thought you were going to bring up his yards.
His yards. I mean, he's on a crazy streak of every year in his career, he's had 1,000 receiving yards. I think he's going to tie Jerry Rice if he gets another 1,000 yards coming off a 1255 season where he played all 17 games. I mean, he had a 15-yard season all the way back in 2018. I think he's going to be in the mix again. The receiving touchdowns
1,050 and a half over every time. I'm going to do it. Smash.
Okay, so you like his over?
Much better. Like I would tell you that this is a time to not play him on underdog. His projection on underdog is 75 yards higher than his prop market yardage total that's out at the DK FanDuels of the play world.
Yeah, always shop around with this stuff. Ryan, is there any Jalen McMillian stuff you find intriguing? I think offensive rookie of the year to me is going to be tough because of the quarterbacks, right? I think one of those quarterbacks is going to be good. I know you're high on Neighbors, but
I don't think the problem with him is you have really good established receivers that are already there. I mean, you've been talking about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer. Like he's still going to be very involved. I would say we didn't get to this part of the handicap, but since we're talking about the receiver room, Sterling Shepard was brought in by this team, Sean. Sterling Shepard was a guy that the Giants allowed to stay with the team even after he got hurt. Very much a leadership component here. Well, why would Sterling Shepard leave the Giants to go down to Tampa Bay? Well, he went to college with Baker Mayfield. College bros, vibes are good. I don't have a bet for
Ryan. I mean,
Sterling Shepard is a vibes guy. I wanted to
this
get that
is
off.
we should. I mean, we might have to stop the show.
What happened? Oh no!
Most regular season rookie receiving yards. Jalen McMillian. What do you think he is to lead that market?
20 to 1,
higher,
100 to 1,
lower, 80 to 1, 80 to 1. Are you kidding me? I mean, Chris Godwin has had plenty of injury issues. I hopefully he stays healthy, but if he gets banged up, Mike Evans, who again has been good about staying on the field, but if he misses some time, I don't know. I'm going just off camp reports, but they're talking about Jalen McMillian. They've already given him the third receiver starting job. He's going to get a shit ton of chances. And who better, Ryan? Remember last year, everyone goes, how could we ever see Puka Nacua coming? We could never see it coming. Meanwhile, we have a guy on that offense, a Rams offense coming from the Rams offense, a Rams offense responsible for discovering Puka Nacua, and maybe Jalen McMillian is Puka Nacua number 2. I'm going to roll the dice at 80 to 1. Let's go. Love that bet. Kramer, you know you're in. You can still love Malik Neighbors and like this bet at 80 to 1.
No, I like the bet. I'll jump in it with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I think what if the real answer to the question is that Chris Godwin's the guy coming into the Puka Nacua role?
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like to me, the safest is Mike Evans receiving touchdowns because that's just like what you do when you get near the goal line. You throw it to Mike Evans. Rashad White, I feel like he's not. They don't use him a ton near the goal line. I'm going to pull up that.
He would. I would say they were a run pass team, so they were.
He had 6 rushing touchdowns, but he did have 3 receiving. So I don't know. I still think Mike Evans is going to get a ton of looks inside the 5. Baker loves throwing those jump balls to him. So that to me is the safest, but Godwin having a really good year, I like too. And I think we should be playing Baker most passing yards as well, right?
What's the number? Because I would think that if you're liking the most passing yards, you also have to like the interceptions.
Never.
Because that's Baker's style.
Baker Mayfield most passing yards 40 to 1. I like that.
What's the most interceptions? They hide it all the way to the right. All right, I got it. Baker Mayfield 12 to 1 interceptions. Woof.
No thanks, Ryan.
I don't think he can. I'm not going to join you on the most passing yards.
Really? I feel like we talked about that market.
I don't hate it, but I think I've found my way into realizing that I don't know if he has the ceiling of that, but
we'll just rock with the long shot Jalen McMillian. Love that play.
I will say too, my prep for this episode has made me think that I should be drafting more of Bucky Irving.
Really? Why? Just because of Rashad White's fragility?
I just think there's certain types of coaches who have an eye for the type of running back that they want in their system. And I think there's a chance we have a slightly different approach to the offensive line and how they're blocking and the run scheme in general. I know they brought in Ben Bredesen from the Giants, who was one of the bright spots on the offensive line over the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see between him and Barton what that changes in terms of what they're trying to do up there. But yeah, I think just, you know, you got to pay attention when a Kubiak or a Shanahan or a McVay disciple drafts a running back, and the starting running back is perceived to not be the most efficient guy, doesn't have, lacks some of the things you might want in your offense.
So Ryan, underdog promo code SGPN. What is your favorite pick'em season long? For me, I'll keep it simple with just the Baker Mayfield higher 365 and a half passing yards.
Almost had 3 6s there.
Yeah, mark of the beast.
Wonder if that was intentional.
Did you see Baker worshiping the devil?
Kind of.
Yeah,
that's also he probably was like, who also likes to wake up feeling dangerous? Oh,
like
the devil.
If you just
the Dark Lord.
If you gave Baker Mayfield some mascara and like a metal choker, you could definitely see him getting into the devil.
That was always a weird thing to me. Like, why is it the devil is so into makeup, or especially around the eyes? I don't know.
Yeah. The devil loved pasty dudes and heavy metal.
I would think if it was hot, the makeup would like melt a little bit. You're sweating.
Yeah, hell doesn't
dripping.
seem like the perfect environment for mascara.
Yeah,
but tell that to the sophomores sitting near the fountain. Sorry. Shout out Freedom High School. Ryan, you have daughters in high school age.
Everything's the same.
So goths are still a thing?
Yep. Bullying still happens. The only difference is it does seem like the younger male generation is evolving to be even more dipshitty around the idea. There's less getting punched in the face.
Oh, okay.
And so you don't see a lot of correction of behavior. Also, parents don't like someone else's parents aren't going to kick your ass anymore.
Yeah. That was always a threat looming.
Like fear of other adults, because just any mom on the street could whoop your ass.
Old man Novotnik will break out the belt.
Yeah, that was always the cops weren't going to be like, well, that's child abuse. No, they're going to be like, what the fuck did you do, little fucker? So yeah, that's creating a little bit of trouble, but yeah, all of the stuff that we remember still exists.
Robert Martin saying sprinkle the Super Bowl futures. Let's go. Sounds like a Bucks fan.
All the same sophomoric jokes. Yeah. Even with 2 daughters, the first time they come home with a good oh wow, all right, so you guys are still using those words, nice. What else? All right, so underdog, the Baker yards. I mean, he's gone over that. He went over that last season. Went over that.
I'm high on the passing game, but 2
seasons previous. Again, not super stoked on the menu here, but I will. See, I was going to play it a different way. I think there's a chance that we could see Godwin being deployed in a way that gives him a ton of volume.
No, you're right.
And so I'm also going to kind of like, okay, you're right about Mike Evans, but Godwin's touchdown number is so low. If he ends up being a little bit more of a focal point in this offense, give me the higher on Godwin. Just do a little bit of the reading between the lines.
He only had 2 receiving touchdowns last year. He did get 1 rushing randomly.
The number's very low for a reason. And I think if you go kind of like dive into what's going on out there in Bucs land, like there's a chance that Evans is just going to continue to do what he does, which is catch balls down the field. But who's working the rest of the offense? Think about what McVay and his offense always has. Think about what Cooper Kupp can do. Think about what Puka Nacua can do and work over the middle. I feel like that's what they've been wanting Godwin to do. And I think the emergence of Jalen McMillian maybe allows them to do that.
Yeah.
So
wait, sorry.
I'll take that higher. 4.5 touchdowns.
Oh, 4.5. Okay. Have receiving touchdowns. All right, let's close it out with the best bets. Everything we've given out so far. Shout out to the chat. Chat was lit. Steffi Smalls checking in.
I did have one more.
Oh, you did. Okay, what else you got?
Oh, Tampa Bay Bucks to have the most sacks.
Yeah, what's that one?
35-1.
Okay.
I need a piece of that. I'm not going to advertise the price I got. It was a long time ago. But Todd Bowles going to get pressure. Shout out to the offshores for screwing that price up.
I like that. I also like
66.
That was one of my other favorite ones from the Jacksonville.
Saxonville.
Jacksonville lead the league in sacks. We had our buddy CJ on 50-1 for that one. I like that as well.
Him being into the Jags. What's that about?
Shout out to Josh Stool in the chat. Godwin gonna eat. Stinking chicken likes Irving Fryer over 800 receiving yards plus 175. I don't know who's hanging that one.
I like that.
Sounds like a Colby pick. Old school football. Talking about creamsicle uniforms. Steffi Smalls in the chat saying she wants the fantasy bros to back off Bucky. Pissing me off with their touting. So Kramer, you officially
they love backup running backs.
Well, it's the rookie running back. They could pop, Ryan.
It's the greatest because
Rashad White is not explosive. Non-explosive running backs are just waiting to be replaced.
What's funny about the fantasy world is just how all of these guys now delete their takes because they're terrified of fantasy receipts.
Yeah, guys.
Whoever runs that account, please reach out to us. We love you. We want to talk to you.
There was someone. He had a screenshot of someone touting Trey Lance. And I was
that
like,
was a great
oh
one.
Man,
I was like Kyle Yates or one of those guys.
I just responded back, hang this one in the Louvre. It was just such a bad take. And it was just so cocky. Like I want to know like the situation where he was touting that he was right about Trey Lance.
It's called
like what? He's never played in the fucking league.
The people that win the fantasy content game understand how the algorithm works, and so all of their takes are inflammatory. And so that's why fantasy receipts is so great. It's like, I don't like you capturing that moment. Well, then stop trolling. Stop being a fucking internet like piece of shit. I love fantasy receipts. It's one of my favorite handles.
Yeah, it's freezing cold takes, but just of fantasy nerds.
If
I mean,
only
obviously, the most fun part is how angry the guys get. This one, oh man, we really got to have this guy.
I want to have him on the show. Like he can come on anonymous.
This is someone. The guy calls himself a doctor, and this is him responding to him blocking fantasy receipts. Take my name out of your mouth. Feel free to see the 20 to 30 plus calls I make correctly each week. Yet you're a petty little bitch who chooses to focus on the one or two incorrect ones. There's a reason you're blocked.
Sean, we've been trying to figure out like maybe slightly tweak to one of our shows this season. Maybe the Monday night show is just our fantasy show is just shitting on the fantasy community.
It's very
best
fun.
of fantasy receipts from that week.
Imagine you doubled your Twitter account because of how good you are. Then you still wouldn't have as many eyes and ears as me. You're a hater and don't know how to create your own content, so you try and call out others. We call that a little bitch. Enjoy being blocked.
I mean, that is.
This is like almost like jailhouse rhetoric, but you're talking about fucking fantasy content. Jesus Christ, guy.
Oh man, and so happy we're gonna be in Vegas this weekend, and not.
So this is
so
Kyle,
happy we're gonna.
This
be
is
in
Kyle
Vegas.
Yates. I'm old enough to remember when I was called a clown, a fraud, clickbait king, many other things for having Trey Lance as QB1 in May of 2020 and throughout the pre-draft process. Those people are real quiet now.
Yeah.
To quote Ray GQ, I've got the receipts. That was August 2nd, 2021.
Yeah, there's not too many people over in that world that I mean, all of them, they all delete their takes. I mean, that's just
Trey Lance played 2 games that year. He started 4 games this entire career.
These are probably some of the same people that were coming after us when I did the side by side of Sam Darnold's release time and Trey Lance, and then guys trying to call me racist.
Trey Lance,
fuck off.
Yeah, people don't understand. It's like
you're insensitive. Fuck off.
Trey Lance is like pro-life, pro-choice of fantasy world. There's no middle ground, and everyone's ready to die for their takes.
I wish we had recorded this, but the first year we did the Fantasy Expo, which competing conference weekends with Bet Bash out in Vegas. We were in. I'll never forget. We were at our table, Sean. We were in like the basement of a hotel, maybe.
Yes.
And
shout out to Canton, Ohio hotel basements.
It's like a Embassy Suites, maybe. And someone was coming around like, "Hey, record a hot take." And either Sean or I just said like Zeke won't be a top 25 running back. It's probably like 2020. Or
like stop the tape.
They said we weren't taking it seriously. we weren't taking it serious. They said,
got really mad at the guys. Right?
You're gonna ruin it for everyone. You're not taking it seriously.
Yeah, they stopped letting me put my rankings on because I would put the Cowboys last every time. Throw off the algorithm.
That's if you're not going to take it seriously, you can't do it anymore.
All right, so we both got him going 10-7. We like you like Chris Godwin higher 4.5 receiving touchdowns. I'm on the Mayfield higher 36-65.5 passing yards. We both like the over wins the division. Jalen McMillian rookie receiving yards leader 80-1. I mean that feels like to me it's Harrison and Neighbors up top, rightly so. But then after that, isn't it kind of the Wild West?
We have
like who is saying Ladd McConkey has 3 times more likely? Jalen McMillian is starting on an offense that's going to throw for 4,000 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I would say.
I mean, it's 80-1, but
yeah, this is essentially why these markets are not. You know, here's a fun smart guy debate. These markets can't be efficient, and they're definitely not efficient because you don't fucking know, especially the rookie markets. You can project something, but you can't be certain. And certainly in a market where you have 2 big dogs, or even, I mean, Roma Dunze probably deserves some credibility up there, even though he has a bunch of competition. But
and a rookie quarterback.
You have some really elite wide receivers. You have some receivers going to very good situations. So I understand why McMillan's being forgotten, but I certainly think, you know, I certainly like the situation.
I mean,
I like what the quarterback's saying.
What was Puka last year? He was probably.
What do you mean?
Like, what was he to lead rookie receiving?
Oh, I would imagine.
Price, right?
Well, I guess the difference would be is there wasn't a Malik Neighbors Marvin Harrison last year where you have guys that are walking into that. It's just you're putting a baseline of what's Jalen McMillan's price to get 1,000 or 1,200 yards basically.
Yeah,
and so maybe the price isn't good enough. I'll still take it with you.
80-1. I'm in. Ryan, we got more NFL team previews coming up, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Smash that subscribe button. Taking a couple seconds out of your day, toss us a nice rating and review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Tell Bruce Arians we love him and he should check out the show.
He would be a great guest.
I would love to hang out with him and Fantasy Receipts.
And again, if you're going to be out in Vegas for Bet Bash or contest weekend, hit us up. Always down to crack some cocktails, get drunk on Fremont Street.
Handshake from me. That's what I'll put out there.
Free handshake from Kramer. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Bruce Arians is really a guy I'd like to hang out with.
Kramer, let it ride.